Hi, it's Sue. Thank you for joining me for today's Bible reading for April 9th, and it is 2 Samuel 16 through 18. Verse 1. When David was a little past the top, behold, Ziba the servant of Mephibosheth met him with a couple donkeys, saddled, and on them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 clusters of grapes, and 100 summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. The king said to Ziba, "What do you mean by these?" Ziba said, "The donkeys are for your king's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer food for the young men to eat, and the wine that those who are faint in the wilderness may drink." The king said, "Where is your master's son?" Ziba said to the king, "Behold, he is staying in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today the house of Israel will restore me the kingdom of my father.'" Then the king said to Ziba, "Behold, all that belongs to Mephibosheth is yours." Ziba said, "I bow down. Let me find favor in your sight, my lord, O king." When King David came to Bahurim, behold, a man of the family of Saul's house came out, whose name is Shimri, the son of Gera. He came out and cursed as he came. He cast stones at David and at the servants of King David, and all the people and all the mighty men who were his right hand and his left. Who were on his right hand and on his left. Shimei said when he cursed, "Begone, begone, you man of blood and base fellow. Yahweh has returned on you all the blood of Saul's house in whose place you have reigned. Yahweh has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son. Behold, you were caught by your own mischief, because you are a man of blood." Then Abishai the son of Zeruiah said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Please let me go over and take off his head." The king said, "What have I done with you, you sons of Zeruiah? Because he curses, and because Yahweh has said to him, 'Curse David.' Who then shall say, 'Why have you done so?'" David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "Behold, my son, who came out of my bowels, seeks my life. How much more this Benjamite now? Leave him alone and let him curse, for Yahweh has invited him. It may be that Yahweh will look on the wrong done to me, and that Yahweh will repay me good for the cursing of me today." So David and his men went by the way, and Shimei went along on the hillside opposite him and cursed as he went, threw stones at him, and threw dust. So David decided he wanted God to be his avenger. So he could have handled it, but he's saying, "No, I'm going to put it in God's hands and let him either vindicate me or not, either avenge me or not. I'm not going to handle it myself." He didn't want the consequences of his self-defense and the unintended consequences of that. He wanted God's results. That's a lesson learned for us today, and I've seen that principle activated in my life when I have let go of charging in and addressing a problem versus take a step back and let God handle it for me. This is when it comes to things of justice, like when I've been wronged or falsely accused or mistreated, like here, right? This also reminds me of current modern day politics. You have this man called of God, and yet you have this man coming out cursing him and protesting him, so to speak, and accusing him of whatever he heard that, the media was telling him he did, calling him a man of blood. And what did he say to him? What you did to Saul, it's going to come back on you. You're reigning in his place, when really God had put him in that place. He didn't put himself in Saul's throne. God put him there. All right, let me read on. So the king was saying, "Why should I deal with this cursed man? Then people are just going to accuse me for killing him. Leave him alone and let him curse, for Yahweh has invited him. It may be that Yahweh will look on the wrong done to me, and that Yahweh will repay me good for the cursing of me today." See, it's like I just feel like, you reap what you sow, right? And I feel like if someone cuts me off in traffic, well, I've got something coming back to me from that, so do they. Every thought, word, and deed is a seed sown. And if I've had something taken from me somehow, someone's, caused me stress, I'll let God vindicate me on that, as he wills, as he sees best. And sometimes I'll say, let's say somebody does something along that same example of traffic on the road, I pray for them. The Bible says to bless those who curse you, and I'll say, like, "Lord, I just bless them, and I ask for it back in their salvation, in the form of their salvation, the currency. My reparations for that offense. I want it to come back to me in the form of that person's salvation." So that's how I execute my faith for using that principle that God has taught me. So David understood this principle. So then it says, so David and his men went by the way, and Shimei went along on the hillside opposite him and cursed as he went, threw stones at him and threw dust. The king and all the people who were with him came weary, and he refreshed himself there. Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. When Hushai the Archite, David's friend, had come to Absalom, Hushai said to Absalom, "Long live the king, long live the king." Absalom said to Hushai, or Hushai, I don't know how to say it, "Is this your kindness to your friend? Why didn't you go to your friend?" Hushai said to Absalom, "No, but whomever Yahweh and this people and all the men of Israel have chosen, his will I be, and with him I will stay." Remember, he's coming in as a spy now. Again, whom should I serve? Shouldn't I serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so I will be in your presence. Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Give your counsel what we shall do." Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Go into your father's concubines that he has left to keep the house. Then all Israel will hear that you are abhorred by your father. Then the hands of all who are with you will be strong." So they spread a tent for Absalom on the top of the house, and Absalom went in to his father's concubines in sight of all Israel. The counsel of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if a man inquired at the inner sanctuary of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Let me now choose 12,000 men, and I will rise and pursue after David tonight. I will come on him while he is weary and exhausted, and will make him afraid. All the people who are with him will flee. I will strike the king only, and I will bring back all the people to you. The man who you seek is as if all returned. All the people shall be in peace." The saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. Then Absalom said, "Now call Hushai the Archite also, and let us likewise hear what he says." When Hushai had come to Absalom, Absalom spoke to him, saying, "Ahithophel has spoken like this. Shall we do what he says? If not, speak up." Hushai said to Absalom, "The counsel that Ahithophel has given this time is not good." Hushai said, "Moreover, you know your father and his men, that they are mighty men, and they are fierce in their minds, like a bear robbed in her cubs in the field. Your father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is now hidden in some pit or in some other place. It will happen when some of them have fallen at the first, that whoever hears it will say, there is a slaughter among the people who follow Absalom. Even he who is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, will utterly melt, for all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and those who are with him are valiant men. But I counsel that all Israel be gathered together to you, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, so that you go to battle in your own person. So shall we come on him in some place where he shall be found, and we will go light on him, as the dew falls on the ground. And of him and of all the men who are with him, we will not leave so much as one. Moreover, if he has gone into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river until there isn't one small stone found there." Absalom and all the men of Israel said, "The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For Yahweh has ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that Yahweh might bring evil on Absalom." Then Hushai, I said that wrong, let me back up. Absalom and all the men of Israel said, "The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For Yahweh had ordained that the defeat for Yahweh had ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that Yahweh might bring evil on Absalom." Then Hushai said to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, "Ahithophel counseled Absalom and the elders of Israel that way, and I have counseled this way. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, Don't lodge tonight at the fords of the wilderness, but by all means pass over, lest the king be swallowed up and all the people who are with him." So Jonathan and Ahimaaz were staying at En-Rogel, and a female servant used to go and tell them. And they went and told King David. So remember, these are spies. And so Hushai is telling the spies, "Go send this message to David." So it says, but a boy saw them and told Absalom. Then they both went away quickly and came to the house of a man in Bahurim who had a well in his court, and they went down there. The woman took and spread the covering over the well's mouth and spread out bruised grain on it, and nothing was known. Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, and they said, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The woman said to them, "They have gone over the brook of water." When they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. After they had departed, they came up out of the well and went and told King David, and they said to David, "Arise and pass quickly over the water, for thus has Ahithophel counseled against you." Then David rose and all the people who were with him, and they passed over the Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them who had gone over the Jordan. When Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his donkey, arose, and went home to his city, and set his house in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the tomb of his father. Then David came to Mahanaim. Absalom passed over the Jordan, and he and all the men of Israel with him. Absalom set Amasa over the army instead of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of a man whose name was B.Th the Israelite, who went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. Israel and Absalom encamped in the land of Gilead. When David had come to Mahanaim, Shobi the son of Nahash of Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and Machir the son of Amiel of Lodebar, and Barzillai the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds, basin, earthen vessels, wheat, barley, meal, parched grain, beans, lentils, roasted grain, honey, butter, sheep, and cheese of the herd for David and for the people who were with him to eat. For they said, "The people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness." I was trying to regain a thought that came to my mind, but I don't have it. Okay, last chapter, verse 1, chapter 18, verse 1. David counted the people who were with him and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. David sent the people out, a third part under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. The king said to the people, "I will also surely go out with you myself." But the people said, "You shall not go out, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die will they care for us, but you are worth 10,000 of us. Excuse me. Therefore now it is better that you are ready to help us out of the city." The king said to them, "I will do what seems best to you." The king stood by the gate, and all the people went out by hundreds and by thousands. The king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, "Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom." All the people heard when the king commanded all the captains concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the forest of Ephraim. The people of Israel were struck there before David's servants, and there was a great slaughter there that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there spread over. Excuse me, so sorry. The battle was there spread over the surface of all the country, and the forest devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. Absalom happened to meet David's servants. Absalom was riding on his mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the sky and the earth, and the mule that was under him went on. A certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, "Behold, I saw Absalom hanging in an oak." Joab said to the man who told him, "Behold, you saw it, and why didn't you strike him there to the ground? I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a sash." The man said to Joab, "Though I should receive 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, I still wouldn't stretch out my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king commanded you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, 'Beware that no one touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise, if I had dealt falsely against his life, and there is no matter hidden from the king, then you yourself would have set yourself against me.'" Then Joab said, "I am not going to wait like this with you." He took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the middle of the oak. 10 young men who bore Joab's armor surrounded and struck Absalom and killed him. Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel. For Joab held the people back. They took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the forest and raised over him a very great heap of stones. Then all Israel fled, each to his own tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself the pillar which is in the king's valley, for he said, "I have no son to keep my name in memory." He called the pillar after his own name. It is called Absalom's monument to this day. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said, "Let me now run and carry the king's news, how Yahweh has avenged him of his enemies." Joab said to him, "You must not be the bearer of the news today, but you must carry news another day. Today you must carry no news, because the king's son is dead." Then Joab said to the Cushite, "Go, tell the king what you have seen." The Cushite bowed himself to Joab and ran. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said yet again to Joab, "But come what may, please let me run after the Cushite." Joab said, "Why do you want to run, my son, since that you will have no reward for the news?" "But come what may," he said, "I will run." He said to him, "Run." Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and outran the Cushite. Now David was sitting between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof of the gate to the wall and lifted up his eyes and looked and beheld a man running alone. The king said, "If he's alone, there is news in his mouth." He came closer and closer. The watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called to the gatekeeper and said, "Behold, a man running alone." The king said, "He also brings news." The watchman said, "I think the running of the first one is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok." The king said, "He is a good man and comes with good news." Ahimaaz called and said to the king, "All is well." He bowed himself before the king with his face to the earth and said, "Blessed is Yahweh your God, who has delivered up the men who lifted up their hand against my lord the king." The king said, "Is it well with the young man Absalom?" Ahimaaz answered, "When Joab sent the king's servant, even me, your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I don't know what it was." The king said, "Turn aside and stand here." He turned aside and stood still. Behold, the Cushite came. The Cushite said, "News for my lord the king, for Yahweh has avenged you today of all those who rose up against you." The king said to the Cushite, "Is it well with the young man Absalom?" The Cushite answered, "May the enemies of my lord the king, and all who rise up against you to do you harm, be as that young man is." The king was much moved, and went up to the room over the gate and wept. As he went, he said, "My son Absalom, my son Absalom, I wish I had died for you. Absalom, my son, my son." That's it for today's reading. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.